Good evening, and thank you for joining us again. We've just taken a little intermission. My name is Cheryl Montgomery, and I'm the Executive Director of the Fort St. John and District Chamber of Commerce. I just want to acknowledge this evening that our sponsors, Moose FM, Bell Media, Alaska Highway News, and of course, the Fort St. John and District Chamber of Commerce. We also want to acknowledge that we are on the traditional lands of the Deniza people. Not to start completely over, but we do want to acknowledge that we've taken a little break and now we're coming back. So we had a lot of really great questions in the beginning. We had a lot of responses on our pigeonhole. Some are really important questions that we know we need to get to with our candidates. And here are responses. We are going to change up how we're going to do this round. Adam is going to unmute all of you. We are going to ask the questions, and what we would like is for your response to be raise your hand, and I will call on you randomly if you want to participate in the question. If you don't raise your hand, we will assume you want to pass on this question. So we're going to do a little test round for this, okay? Just to make sure that you all get this. And because somebody's had a little fun with us, we are going to have a little fun back. And we're going to use this as our lightning round. Or not our lightning round, our test question. So what's the heaviest animal you believe you could take in a fight and why? If you could raise your hands if you want to participate in this. And I'm going to call on Sarah.
Well, I'm not a fighter, but I'm going to go with a turtle because they can be very heavy and they're slow, so I could probably get them.
Okay, there you go. You guys will have to keep your hands up so I know who else wants to participate. Thomas.
I could probably take a large dog. I like dogs. I've got a dog at the house, but it seems like the most relevant answer.
There you go. Jim, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, it's not my nature. I would never harm an animal, so I'm not even going to answer that.
Okay. And John?
Well, I'd probably take on a bear because I know I'd lose. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that's an interesting way to go about it. And Tristan?
Yeah, so I would go the alternative route, and I would say an emperor penguin, purely because I've seen the movie Happy Feet, and I am a killer on the dance floor, and I definitely think that I would outdance an emperor penguin.
Oh, good answer, good answer. All right, well, we managed to clear away the top ranking question on our pigeonhole poll tonight. So I think people thought we were going to disregard that, but we got that one in there for all those inquiring minds. And now we're going to go, we did get a lot of really good questions. So we're going to go to some of those. Trey is going to help me out here at Moose FM. And Trey, if you want to lead off with the first question, again, we're going to follow the format of please raise and hold your hand up and I will call on you.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. We've seen small local businesses having to shut their doors to the public during the COVID-19 pandemic. How important is it to you to find meaningful ways to support our small businesses at this time?
All right, Tristan?
Small businesses are the backbone of our community, and various shops, boutiques, and restaurants have been kind of the cornerstone of our culture and our society. A lot of the COVID shutdowns have caused irreparable damage to some of these small businesses, and I think it is vitally important we support them. We could do this through some of the fantastic ways, such as through the patio drives that we've seen and providing more access to patios while the restrictions are in place, but also supporting one another and uniting around the small businesses that are struggling most, whether that's by encouraging friends on social media to go out and eat at your local restaurant, or buying from a local store that's been struggling and had to shut its doors instead of having to shop at Walmart or Safeway.
Thank you, Tristan. Sarah?
Yes, I think this is so important that we support our local businesses at this time. Small businesses, as Tristan said, are the backbone of our community. And I think one great way that we can do it is when we buy gifts for someone, buy them from a local store, buy them a restaurant to a locally run, or a gift card, sorry, to a locally run restaurant. Really anything that we can do, whether it's for now or for in the future, to support that business is vital.
Thank you, Thomas.
So our small businesses these days have taken a little bit of a turn. They've gone from not sure if you're going to make it next month to not sure if you're going to make it next week and tomorrow. And it's been really, really hard on the businesses. I've seen it here around the community. I had the privilege of helping out with a fireplace with one of our local guys. They did some s'mores over it the other day. Audie, you're awesome. I love that we were able to get your patio up. The city needs to continue on this adaptability to COVID. We need to respond quickly, and we need to continue supporting our local restaurants, our local businesses, whatever it may be. I think that is absolutely pivotal, and recovery is huge.
Okay, thank you, Thomas. And we'll go to Jonathan next.
All right, so as many know that I have been doing this now for the last year and a half, I was instrumental in helping make sure that people in Fort St. John, the various restaurants, knew about the grants that were available. I also help monitor and run the support local business group that Edith Lowen created. I spent countless hours one night when Bonnie Henry decided to shut restaurants down and making sure that I got Chuck numerous information from restaurants so that Moose FM, the District Chamber of Commerce, could create their restaurant lists and things like that. Supporting local businesses and small businesses preferably is the most important thing because they are Fort St. John. Without small local businesses and nonprofits and whatnot, Fort St. John just simply doesn't exist. So
All right.
it is
Thank you,
highly
John.
important.
Thank you, Jonathan. And Jim.
Yeah, well, local, thanks for the question. Local and small businesses are the backbone of the Fort St. John economy. And as an example, there's roughly 70 restaurants in Fort St. John, give or take a few, and a few craft breweries that without the help of our residents, they'd have a hard time staying open. My family always tries to buy local. I would even like to see a Fort St. John City contract policy in place that says the local contractor, if he's within 15% of the lowest out-of-town bid, it's awarded locally. It'll come back tenfold by helping the local economy.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're going to move on to our next question. And I'm going to ask this question. Would you be willing to bring back the motion to allow backyard hens? Now more than ever, food security should be one of our largest concerns. What can the people of FSJ come first and have hens? When can the people of Fort St. John come first and have hens? And we will start with, let's start with John.
Absolutely. Not just backyard hens, but gardens in our front lawns. Why are we relying on outside sources to feed us when we can do that ourselves? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
All right, thank you. Thomas?
This whole topic has been controversial since it started. So my personal opinion on it, as far as that goes, is that if what's happening in your backyard is not harming somebody else's property, and you can add some value to your own life in some way, shape, or form, I think that's important. What I will say, as a council, I think we need broad public input on these factors. That's the big thing. Going back to the community and saying, hey, what do you guys want?
All right, thank you. Jim?
Yes. So the question being, do we want to have the motion to bring back hens in the backyards? My answer to that is yes, but it's just not that simple passing a bylaw to allow backyard hens. The reality is, do your neighbors, what do your neighbors say on either side? Are they opposed to hens? What happens when the hens, do they escape? Is it the SPCA issue or the bylaw officer issue? As it is now, The city of Fort St. John has what they call a pound keeper agreement with the SPCA for dogs and cats, not chickens. So either the city must hire more bylaw officers to deal with, our feathered friends, or allow the SPCA to take over the whole animal control law enforcement, which is a very hefty price tag.
All right.
They'd also have to build.
I'm going to interrupt here. Thank you, Jim. Tristan, did you have your hand up? Yes. Oh,
Mhm.
sorry. Yes, you do.
Yeah, so I definitely think that we can do more to perhaps bring hens back into town. Like Jim said, there's definitely a lot more nuances to it than just simply passing a motion. As someone who grew up on a farm and we grew our own food and hunted our own meat, having food sustainability is vitally important. It's also vitally important for creating sustainable communities that don't necessarily need to be purchasing their goods from the local Safeway, and they can do it at home. This will provide more sustainability within not even just our small families, but also within the community.
All right. Thank you, Tristan. And Sarah.
So food security is a big issue facing us today, and the step towards backyard hens is a step in the right direction for food security. I also agree that we need engagement. We need to hear from the community because whatever we do in our backyards does impact our neighbors, and so we need to ensure that folks are on board if we want to move forward with this.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, we're going to move on to our next pigeonhole question, and I'm going to go to Trey to ask that question.
Thank you again, Cheryl. The LGBTQ plus community faces a lot of discrimination in our city. What would you do to help improve this? Do you believe it's an issue?
And we'll start with Thomas.
Hot topic, this one, I guess. Yeah, absolutely. Is it a problem? 190%. Discrimination for anybody that is out of the cis norm or multicultural, obviously we need to address those situations. And I've been at the Pride parades a couple of times. I was even at the Hudson's Hope one. I think that we need to empower everybody to be who they are and get out there and just be themselves. Diversity is key.
Thank you. Sarah?
Yes, sadly, this is an issue in our town. And so we need to talk more about it. We need to bring this more mainstream so that the conversations are continual and ongoing. No matter what, everyone needs to feel included and feel supported in their community. And so we need to take whatever steps are necessary to make people feel more included.
Thank you. Do we have Jonathan? I see your hand up.
Yeah, so you know what, that question's a really great question, and it's something that I see all the time. I got a lot of friends that are members of the LGBTQ community, and they do face a lot of discrimination. I mean, we've seen that just recently here in Dawson Creek, where a young kid decided to tear up the Pride crosswalk not once, but numerous times. And it is something that we do need to keep on the forefront and talk about, because unfortunately, you know, many people would like to say that not talking about it stops it, but, you know, talking about it does stop it. We have, I bring it back to a gentleman that I know who decided to say that, you know, he didn't, he's okay with the LGBTQ community, but only if he doesn't hear about it. And that's just wrong. You know, we can't have that in our community.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. And Tristan?
Absolutely. This is a problem that has been a problem for years and years. Ever since I was a kid, the LGBTQ community has been in dire straits. And I consider myself a proud ally of the community. I have marched in numerous parades and engaged with them on various levels. I think we do need to do more. We need to destigmatize the issue, and destigmatize the LGBTQ community. We need to raise awareness, and we need to educate the people and show them that the community is just that. It's the community. It's your neighbors. It's your friends. We need to be more loving and accepting of one another. And I think our LGBTQ community needs that just as much as anyone else.
All right. Thank you, Tristan. And Jim?
Well, you know, personally, I've never experienced the discrimination. I'm aware that it is an issue and concern for some of our citizens, and I'm fully committed to zero tolerance for discrimination of any kind in our community and workplaces. I think our first step is acknowledgement and that there is work to be done, and being open to hearing how affected citizens can feel safer and not targeted. And thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, for our next question. In FSJ, a lot of our road and building problems come from soft and regularly shifting ground. Do you support investing in new local technologies to better adapt to our ever-changing environment? And we will start that one with Jonathan.
Absolutely. For example, when it comes to building roadways, I was doing some research on that, and over in Europe, I believe it was Denmark or Norway, one of those mountainous regions, they use plastic bags when it comes to building their pavement. And there are just so many new technologies out that we can use differently to help better keep our roads safer and our roads from shifting as much.
Thank you. Sarah, we'll go to you next.
Yes, I absolutely support investing in new technologies. When we renovated our basement to accommodate our expanding family, this was a major issue, and it is a major issue with all infrastructure in Fort St. John. And I believe that money spent up front to invest in these technologies is money saved down the road for not having to replace continually.
Thank you. Thomas.
Yes, absolutely. I think that it is a great program, or anytime you invest into a local organization, whether it be a business or a non-for-profit, I think that there is value add there. You're adding back into the families, you're adding back into the community, and you're innovating. We have so many amazing people, engineers, people across different organizations that do so much good in the community. And I think the more that we can empower them, the better.
Thank you. Tristan.
Absolutely, 100%. Local technology is, I believe, the future when it comes to these sorts of things. As well, when it comes to the ever-shifting climate, climate change is occurring, and we need to be aware of that and prepare ourselves. Local technologies is a fantastic way to invest in our community, but also tackle the climate problem. The provincial and federal governments have created grants and other sorts of services and incentives to tackle these sorts of issues. So I think it could be smart to have further collaboration, not just with local businesses, but with the feds and the provincial government to collaborate with these local techs to create solutions that work for Fort St. John.
Thank you. And Jim, you had your hand up?
Yes, technology when it comes to building roads, in my 30 years working in the oil and gas industry, I've built many roads. And the fact of the matter is sometimes we're not getting frost out of the ground till May or June. And we have a lot of geotechnical issues with our roads here in Fort St. John. And anybody that has a sidewalk with cement know that, you can pour it one year and there's cracks in it the next year or even months down the line. So the more technology we can get to help build our roads safer, the better it is.
Thank you, Jim. All right,
Thank you.
We're going to go on to our next question, and I'm going to go back to Trey for this.
Thank you, Cheryl. This one works nicely as a follow-up to the last question. How can we as a city work towards mitigating the effects of climate change while still supporting our resource development workers and industry?
Thank you. And I'm going to go right to Trey. I see his hand up to Tristan. Thank you.
So in university, I was a volunteer policy analyst for BCCIC Climate Change. That's the British Columbia Council for the International Cooperation on Climate Change. Now, my portfolio was to be the analyst for a just transition. For those at home that don't know, a just transition is one of the climate and sustainability goals to ensure that as countries move towards meeting their climate obligations, they keep the workers and the places in mind that have been supporting our economies for so very long. One thing that I would like to do is collaborate with the federal and provincial governments and lobby them to ensure that we aren't left behind as they move forward to reach their climate obligations. This is a problem that affects not just us, not just Canada, but the whole world. And I believe that we as a community who have provided so much economic resources and development for the country, we don't deserve to be left behind.
All right, thank you, Tristan. And Sarah, I'll go to you next.
Okay, I absolutely support our resource sector. It's what pays the bills with my family, but I believe the city can do a lot on reducing emissions. For example, on new build construction, increasing those energy efficient standards. We have that great passive house project, make that mainstream for new builds for single family homes, retrofitting old buildings, increasing density, looking at our transportation system and moving away from reliance on personal vehicles and focus on carpooling or active modes of transportation. Also continuing our recycling program and moving on to a composting program. There are so many things that we can do as a community that supports our resource sector, but also it reduces our environmental impact.
Thank you, Sarah. And we'll go to Thomas next, please.
Nobody does resource extraction like we do up here. Whether it's between Canada and the US or just Fort St. John in general, we are the leaders in innovation when it comes to whether it's LNG or natural gas, whatever. The big things are we need to continue doing that. We need to continue to innovate, continue to improve from where we are at today. But we do have a lot of people that are helping get to where we need to be. And what that's doing is that's cutting down carbon emissions coming from places like China, where they're burning coal all day, every day, and you can literally see a cloud of smog around it. We are leading the way in that aspect, as well as the city. As some other people mentioned, we're also leading the way on our passive house and all of that kind of stuff. But the solutions aren't bulletproof right now. We need actual solutions. The LNG movement is what's really going to help us move in that direction. And I believe that we do it great.
Thank you, Thomas. And I'm going to go to Jim next.
Yeah, thanks for the question there. You know, we have world-class technology when it comes to, I guess if you want to say admissions. I mean, what in a whole Canada is what 1.6% of the whole world's population, whole world pollution. I mean, China's up to 20%, Russia's up to 15%, and what I would like to see is, you know, northeastern British Columbia and Canada in general, to use our world-class technology and share it around the world. You know, we got to get China off those cold plants.
All right.
Same with Russia.
Thank you, Jim and Jonathan.
You're welcome.
Okay, so when it comes to climate change, it's a big issue, obviously. I am going to right now say thank you to our oil and gas workers for all the work that they have done. One of the things that I love is the initiatives that they have started with the carbon capture. Things like that. One of the things that I think we could do is plant more trees. You know, plain and simple, if we plant more trees, that helps. And work towards bringing in more electric vehicles, things like that. Using incentives for, you know, solar power roofs, solar panels on our roofs and things like that. There's so many things that we can do, but one of the things that I do love is that Canada, as Jim said, is a very low emitter of our carbon things. But one of the things that I do want to touch base on it is our recycling programs. And like Sarah mentioned, having a program so that we can get rid of our scrap foods and stuff in a safe manner.
All right.
Things like that we
John.
can do.
All right. Thank you. All right. We're going to go to our next question. And I'm going to start with you, Tristan, just so you know, I believe that this question goes back to a comment you made.
Yes.
You're aware of it. Is it a conflict of interest knowing a councillor paid for a candidate's education? Councillors need to work together, but they also need to hold each other accountable. Your response first, Tristan.
Sure. I don't think so. To give a bit of background, I was the recipient of a $1,000 scholarship from Trevor Bolin coming out of North Peace Secondary School at a high school. I don't think it's a conflict of interest in a sense, purely because how else are we going to get our local talent and our local professionals to come back to the community and give back? My education is something I would like to give to the community, and if as a political science major, that is something that I really hope that I can do, and this is definitely a way to do that.
All right, thank you, Tristan. Thomas, you wanted to follow up on that?
I'm not going to go too much into detail, but I got to say it's great to see younger guys stepping up. Tristan, I thought I was going to be the youngest guy running. Obviously, that didn't happen. So it's great that you stepped up. That's all I'll say on the whole thing.
John? I can't tell. John, is your hand up or you? No. All right. Okay.
we're good.
Oh,
So-
sorry. John, you wanted to respond?
Yes.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay, so when it comes to what went on between Trevor Bull and Payne for Tristan's school, as you mentioned, it was through a scholarship. So it's a little bit different than Trevor being on council and paying him with taxpayer money.
All right. Thank you.
Right.
And Jim?
Yeah, I would just like to add, I don't believe it's a conflict of interest at all. I mean, you got to realize that Trevor has a life outside city council. You know, he's a businessman, he's an entrepreneur. And if he chooses to give scholarships out to someone like Tristan, who's well deserved it, I think that's a good thing.
All right. I think we. Oh, Sarah, did you have your hand up or no?
Yes, I just want to say that I do think we absolutely need to support our local youth and give them the scholarships that they deserve to get that education that they can bring back to our community.
All right. Thank you. We've given everybody an opportunity to respond to that. All right. And we're going to go to our next question, and we'll go to Trey.
We have a two-parter here. Have you ever attended a council meeting, and of decisions made, how many reports have you read?
Great question. All right. I'm going to go to, I saw Sarah's hand first, so we'll go there.
Yes, I actually really enjoy council meetings. Any meetings, honestly, but especially now that you can live stream them. Well, I guess you always could, but yes, it's great to be able to live stream them in your home, to be able to watch. I have read way more reports than I care to admit. I think it's the only way you can get the background information on why a decision was made and what things look like. So yes, I have read almost every report that's available on the City of Fort St. John website.
Thank you, Sarah. Tristan?
Yeah, so I have never attended a council meeting personally. As a kid, it was not interesting to me as this 15-year-old boy, but I have been watching them diligently for the past 2 or 3 years, whether that's through posts on videos and through live streams. When it comes to reading reports, oh yeah, I spoke and have studied on Fort St. John all throughout my university career. I've cited so many of the reports and even like the downtown action plans, and it's something I am very, very familiar with.
Thank you, Tristan. Jim?
Yes, over the years, I have attended quite a few council meetings. And as far as reading the reports go, the City of Fort St. John has a really nice website and a real nice a place where you can go find documents, a library, if that's what you want to say. So yes, I have, and I quite enjoyed it, and they're very, very informative.
Thank you. And Thomas?
The cancel cast is great. I love the engagement idea behind it, that you can watch it whenever need be. Unfortunately, I work a 9-to-5 job, so I'm busy all day, but that gives me the opportunity to watch it from 5 until 8. Yes, I've watched a whole lot of them, and actually I have a couple of the reports here sitting beside me, the social and economic development plan. I do go through the reports as much as physically possible. I can't say I've gotten through every single one. I've been to some open houses pre-COVID, of course, as well. But.
All right, thank you. And Jonathan?
Yeah, I watch these things quite regularly. I also like to live stream them and listen to them while I work. One of the biggest things that I say, though, is that even though they're live streamed, they're still not live streamed because we still can't ask questions during the live stream. So one of the things that I want to see is more engagement during the actual council meetings that we can get onto. As for reports, of course, I read reports. It's something that I've been doing the last couple of years just to make sure that I know exactly what's going on in our community. Obviously, I'm running for council, so I would hope to God that everyone on here is reading reports.
All right, thank you, John. All right, as we're coming up on to 9 p.m., we've already gone a little past what we had intended and still can't answer and ask all the questions we'd really like to of all of our candidates. I do have one more question, but before we get to it, I just want to thank all of our candidates for joining us this evening. Jim LeQuire, Thomas Witten, Jonathan Goslin, Sarah McDougall, and Tristan Jones. I want to thank you all for taking the time to share us your platforms and your opinions and some of your ambitions for being on City Council. So thank you very much for joining us. I also really want to thank our sponsors who have taken time to participate and put this on for the community: Moose FM, Bell Media, Alaska Highway News, and the Fort St. John and District Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank the whole team for working together to bring this live on Facebook so that more people can participate. So again, thank you to everybody, and in particular our viewers. We're going to round out our evening with one last question, and that question is, what do you think should be the main priority for City Council in 2021? And with that, I'm going to start with Jim.
Well, thanks for the question. So in 2021, we have a lot of capital projects on the books, $71 million worth to be exact. And I think one of the main focus going forward in 2021 is to ensure there's no overruns. And we've got to make sure that there's red flags in place so that if some of these projects start going over budget, we have to figure out why and get back on track, because, you know, $71 million, and even if a few of them go over budget, that's a lot of taxpayers' dollars. So in 2021, let's stay focused on our capital projects.
Thank you, Jim. Next, I'm going to go to Thomas.
So I said it in my opening speech, but I really believe at this point we need to start talking about recovery. We need to be talking about recovery, supporting our businesses, supporting our people, mental health. All of that is the most important aspect, I believe, in 2021. How do we get back to where, or some version of where we were? That's my big thing, recovery.
All right, thank you. Next, Jonathan.
Well, Tom said it best. You know, recovery is everything, supporting our nonprofits and our local businesses and ensuring that our social issues are starting to get looked at. But one of the biggest priorities for me when I get into office is going to be making sure that council has term limits and ensuring that in regard to their wage increases and, you know, things like that, that we talk to the public about that, because honestly, we see a lot of people struggling right now. I've seen it all year through COVID and helping families. You know, it was pretty gut-wrenching when I seen that City Council gave themselves a wage increase. So it's definitely something I'll be looking at when I get into council.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. And Sarah, and Tristan, you can lower your hand. I'll come to you, I promise. All right, Sarah, we'll go to you next.
So I also believe recovery is our 2021 priority, as well as rebuilding. We need to look at the economy. What are the effects of this pandemic and how do we mitigate those, as well as the social impacts? How do we mitigate those and then rebuild better? We are a hardworking, vibrant community, and I believe we can bounce back from this and be better than we were before.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And Tristan.
I think that the city needs to focus on unity within our community, whether that's with our small businesses, whether that's with our domestic and sexual violence survivors, and whether that's with our racialized and marginalized communities. COVID-19 has revealed all sorts of social inequities within our community, and I think it's important we show those communities that we will unite behind them, we will validate their concerns, and we're going to take action.
Fantastic. All right, we're going to round out our evening. I just want to thank all of our candidates for participating. Again, I want to thank you for taking the time to share your opinions with the community. I want to thank our sponsors one last time and our Pigeonhole participants. We got a lot more activity there than I think we expected, so that was fantastic. Thank you all for participating there. And of course, to all of the viewers who checked in on Facebook and watched these proceedings, we appreciate that you've taken the time to understand and be a little more familiar with each of the candidates. And of course, the most important thing is to get out and vote. Get out and vote. That's your right. That's our opportunity. Make sure you get out and vote for the candidate you want to see on your next city council. So thank you everybody for joining us this evening, and we will see you next time. Take care.